Optimizing AWS costs is a big and complex topic, and especially if you have an existing infrastructure, there are many things that you can do, and it can be confusing to figure out where do you even start. So I thought I would share some of the really minimal first steps that every organization should do in their AWS setup to even start looking into cloud cost optimization. The tips I will share will be especially useful for the new environments. So if you're just getting started with AWS and you're about to start your first instances or run first applications, so you will benefit from this video most because you will have some foundation already activated and enabled. But even if you have an existing infrastructure that is already cost you some money, the steps that I will show here will help you also to start properly looking into the costs, and it will let AWS help you to look at the right things, because there are many cost-related savings. There are many cost-saving opportunities that AWS recommends to you automatically if you let AWS doing this. Of course, if you have an actual big infrastructure up and running, doing the steps won't be enough. In this case, I would recommend to look into the free cloud cost audit that MKDev offers to some customers. Stick around till the end of the video to learn more about this offering and whether your company is eligible for this free cost audit. In any case, let's get started here. That's basically almost completely empty account that I have. First thing you see here is that it says access denied for the cost summary. And if I click, I see that it says Cost Explorer was just enabled. It will take some time to prepare your cost and usage data. The thing is, Cost Explorer tool from AWS that allows you to basically look at the costs at the high granularity and see how much different services costs. It needs to be activated, and the way you activate it is you go to your account, you go to billing and cost management, and then you go to Cost Explorer, and that's it. So that's the actual activation. There is no way to activate it via API. For some reason, it's not activated by default. You really need to go here, click here on the Cost Explorer, and then it tells you check back in 24 hours, because now it will collect all the cost data over last, I think, 13 or 12 months. And within 24 hours, it will show you all the data here. So now that I did this first step, it's gonna be available probably tomorrow when I go back here, and I will be able to see my cost as they are for the last days and last months without necessarily looking into the bills. Before Cost Explorer is activated, you can also go to bills here, and bills is kind of also dynamic. So it's not only the bills for the previous months, it also shows you estimated payment for the current months. So you see here it even says estimated grand total $9, and if I go here, I can see how much different services will cost me. And it's not much right now because, as I said, it's more or less empty. It's an empty account. The next step that I like to do, and I recommend doing this to all of our customers, is you go to Cost Management Preferences and go to Cost Explorer. And there are a couple of options you can activate here. First of all, I would recommend you to activate resource level data at daily granularity. And it won't let to do it right now, because again, I would need to wait till it actually gives me access. It's confusing that it says access denied, because I'm actually logged in as the root user of this account, so I have all the permissions. But anyway, once it's available, you should enable this option so that you get usage by a particular resource. Not every AWS service supports resource level data granularity, but many of them do, and it's useful to slice and dice your costs in the Cost Explorer by resource. Then I would recommend you to enable hourly granularity. So you can basically go here and click these two things, and that's a paid feature, but the cost depends on the number of resources you have. And even if you have, let's say, 50 EC2 instances or many other resources, the cost will be less than $1 a month. So it's a relatively cheap feature, but in return you get per hour granularity in your metrics data inside Cost Explorer. And per hour does not mean that you get like real-time data, because that's what I first thought when I saw this feature. It really means that if you select per hour, it will show you how much it did cost for each hour in the past. But the data comes into the Cost Explorer at the same speed. So for example, if you would check today the data per hour, you would actually see the cutoff hour from yesterday till which AWS already analyzed the cost and provided the cost metric for you. So, but it's still good to have per hour granularity because you can just go and see how much it costs per hour. And one of the good indicators that you should optimize is if your application has some kind of seasonal usage. So it's like during the day hours, there are many users, and at night there are not so many users. And if you see that despite that you pay per hour the same amount all the time, then there is definitely something to optimize and make infrastructure more elastic, so it cost at night less than during the day. But that varies a lot on your application, on your usage patterns, and things like this is something that we help to analyze as part of our free cloud cost audit. So now I can just save preferences if it will let me. And in this case, it does. So it will be enabled in 2 days, so it will take some time. Now, if you go to the general settings, there are also a couple of things you should enable. I like to enable EC2 resource recommendations because once again, you just tell Amazon, hey, just recommend me something based on my usage, which is always a good data to look at. It could be a good baseline for your cost optimization activities. And I would also probably activate link account discounts to allow link accounts to see the discounts that you have, so that you can go to the child account or member account and see which discounts are available. The next step I want to do is to enable Cost Optimization Hub. Now that's the new feature from AWS. They announced it on the reInvent 2023. It's probably better if I go here because it shows a bit different view. So what Cost Optimization Hub is basically one more way to look at the cost recommendations from AWS. So it kind of consolidates all the recommendations in one place. So you have the central view of what you could improve. It's not perfect. It's kind of tricky to start using. In any case, it's getting a bit getting used to this tool, but it's important to activate it. It's free, so you don't need to pay anything for this. You just need to activate it. And so my recommendation is activated not only for this account, but also for all member accounts. So you can see recommendations for all the child accounts. Ideally, what you do here is you do in your management or main account, which does not really run any workloads, but it serves as a central dashboard for all the costs you have. So I'm gonna just enable this, and similar to Cost Explorer, it will take some time for me to get any information here and view opportunities. So I cannot show you anything here right now. With these two things activated, you should already have way more data directly in the billing and cost management. So you will have Cost Explorer, where you can slice and dice the costs in many different ways. Even now you have the data per hour, so you can see how much infrastructure costs you every hour and optimize based on this usage. You also have Cost Optimization Hub, so it will pull in all the recommendations Amazon has for you on how you can save money. Worth remembering that there are also savings plans recommendations here and reservations recommendations that you should keep an eye on. I would not blindly use what Amazon recommends, but it's important to basically check what they recommend. And again, maybe use it as a starting point for your own analysis. The next thing I want to do is to activate Compute Optimizer. That's a separate service, kind of, that you also need to activate, of course. And the way it works, it will analyze your resources and utilization data, and it will recommend you how to adjust it. So it's not purely cost specific, but it has a lot to do with the cost, because it will tell you, hey, this EC2 instance is over provisioned, you're probably paying too much for Lambda, or you are utilizing something too much, so then maybe you should upscale and things like this. And of course, same as with Cost Optimization Hub, you want to enable it for all accounts of your organization. And naturally, it will also take some time for the data to actually be shown here. So that's what it comes to getting the data. Well, after 24 hours, you will see here lots of really good information about what your usage looks like. But while you wait, and especially for the new accounts, because you don't know how much things will cost, but you probably have a rough idea of how much you want to pay per month, what I would recommend doing is that you go to the budgets and you create the budget. So what budget means is that you basically say, hey, I want to pay this amount of money per day or per month, and please notify me if I will I've spent or I will spend more than this. So let me create a simple budget. So I like to create daily budgets whenever possible, in addition to monthly ones, because I want to be notified if my daily usage was unexpectedly high. So I will select daily period. It's a recurring budget. It will start tomorrow. It will try here to estimate my daily average over the last 30 days, but as you can see, it's not really good at this. I'm ready to spend $1 per day on this account because it really only runs a small VPN server. I want it to work for all AWS services, aggregate costs by unblended costs, and I want an alert. So whenever 80% of my $1 per day is already consumed, I want to get a notification. So I would go and say like, please send me email when the threshold is breached. You can also do a forecasted usage, but it's not available for the daily. So you can say, if the forecast for the end of this month is 80% from my budget, please notify me, because probably I'm already like spending too much. But for me, I just want daily notification if it's more than $1. And this number, especially for the new accounts, is just a guess, right? You roughly know that maybe you want to spend like 200 per month. So you go and create a budget for 200 per month and then some amount per day. So you get notified if you exceed this amount. It's basically important to just be aware of those budgets. And of course, in a bigger organization, these budgets are a bit more complex because you will have it like per team, per department, per application, and they will be routed to different stakeholders, something we also discuss and help to define during our free cloud cost audit. So now that the daily budget is here, it's basically already enough for to get started, because it will already notify if you are breaching your daily budget. But what I also like to do, even if it's a bit noisy at the start, is to enable cost anomaly detection. Of course, because we're still talking about AWS interface, if I go to cost anomaly detection and I click on get started, it will tell me that wait 24 hours. I don't want to wait 24 hours. So there is a little hack, and that is, if you go back to home, here you have cost anomaly status with the link setup required. If you click on this one, you can create cost anomaly monitor without any issues. And the idea is that whenever some service spikes in its usage, in particular around the cost usage, AWS will notify you. So it's good to have it for AWS services, because then it will tell you like, hey, S3 costs $20 more than usual. And then you just create like a default cost anomaly detection. You can set some tags, which is always good, but I'll skip this step. And then you create a new subscription, telling like, in this case, just me. And then I want to receive them here. And then I define a threshold. So if some service costs more than $10 than usual, I want to get a notification. And I can create multiple alert subscriptions and multiple thresholds, but I just need one. And then I click on create monitor. And of course, this will tell me that cost and usage data is not available yet because we just activated all of this. So it will take some time. But now, look, if I go to cost anomaly detection, it actually shows me the page properly. And if I go to cost monitors, it shows me this default alert that I created, or monitor in this case. And curiously enough, there's also a default services subscription, which I did not create, but it's there. So it makes sense for you to go and verify that this default one is also working properly and it sends emails to the correct email address. So in this case, it sends it to my private email address, which is good enough for me as well because that's my private account. And that's it. So at this point, you have more or less the basic setup to manage the cost on AWS. You have all the data inside Cost Explorer, including per hour data. You have all the recommendations directly from AWS in the Cost Optimization Hub and Compute Optimizer, so that you can get some automated suggestions how to optimize your cost without hiring anyone. And you will also get notified if something costs too much because you now have AWS budgets configured and you have anomaly detection. Of course, if you're not just getting started, but you have an actual infrastructure running and it costs you thousands of dollars per month, then it will take more steps to actually optimize this cost. And that's where the free cost audit from MKDev will really benefit you. Because what we do is, if you go to our website, it describes it in a bit more details, but we become part of a team for 4 to 6 weeks, and we look through all of the infrastructure and we conduct interviews with your team, with developers, with the stakeholders to understand how you use the cloud. And at the end, we give you a full report of what could be improved around cost, but also around the infrastructure in general. And we also fill in your backlog with concrete actionable tasks that you can do to optimize the cost and improve your cloud setup. And we do it for AWS, for Google Cloud, and for Kubernetes. And as I said, this service, you can get it completely for free. This whole audit that lasts 4 to 6 weeks. You just go to our website, link in the description below. You schedule a call with us. We discuss your infrastructure and the problems for 20 to 30 minutes. And then depending on your setup, we might be able to offer all of this for you completely for free. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I hope it will help you to start looking properly into your cloud costs.
Do you think your project infrastructure is well set and maintained? We know for sure there is always room for improvement. If you are uncertain where to begin, let's first do an audit of what you already have. We will review your setup from every angle: performance, cost, security, high availability, automation, and provide you with a detailed roadmap of which direction your infrastructure should go, generate concrete tasks for you to implement, or even take on your infra entirely, if you let us, of course.